Welcome, everyone. The show's called The Next Chapter, where we talk about all things having to do with the written word. I'm your host, Amazon best-selling author, Fred Hughes. This show is courtesy of Biz TV and Biz Radio. You might see it on the Biz TV YouTube channel or a Biz TV podcast. You might also catch it on one of our affiliate TV or radio stations. For those of you watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel and give us a like. Help support me talking about authors and the business of being authors. So, without further ado, my weekly shameless plug for my book. Why else do a show like this if I can't talk about my own stuff? My most recent book, Book 9 of the Prince of Britannia series, called Prince Imperator, is out and is doing well. If you haven't read it, please pick it up and do so. It's the end of the story arc for the Prince of Britannia series, not the end of me writing in this universe. There will be more stories. It's just that this is closing the story arc around Hazard King, the Prince of Britannia, and his evolution from being a young ensign in the Imperial Navy to being the Emperor of the Empire. So, enough said about that. Also happy to announce that after a long delay and various legal issues, Prince Book 6 of the Prince of Britannia series is now out on Audible. Most of you Audible listeners picked up the first 5 books when Podium Publishing produced them and put them out, and had some issues moving forward, but finally the 6th book in the series is now available on Audible, and books 7, 8, and 9 will be following shortly behind it. So, today's guest, David Sherrer. We were reminiscing. I recently ran into David at LibertyCon. You know, we've talked about that in the past. Convention in Chattanooga, Tennessee, science fiction and fantasy, primarily authors getting together to talk about writing and making connections and, you know, networking with other people in the industry. And I ran into David there and talked about it being on the show. And fortunately for us, he was available today and he's going to be on. Now, David is half of the very talented and well-known Sherrer family. His wife Lydia is a best-selling author, both independent novels, and she's currently writing a series with Baen Books, co-authoring with John Ringo. So David is her marketing manager, and he has some extraordinary insights into advertising and marketing. He's also a world-class game developer, and he's going to talk today about his newest game that's in development and the Kickstarter associated with that game. But since David is going to be on the show talking about how he manages advertising for his wife's books, he also manages the distribution of those books and everything else. If you remember, go back quite a few episodes of this show, I had Patty and Ben Wallace on the show talking about their books and how they go wide, meaning they do direct sales. They also sell through Amazon, but they also sell directly off their website. Well, David sells directly off of his website, and he and Lydia do very well doing that. Which makes me wonder why I'm not doing it. So, and that's a question for me and my publisher to have. But one of the things, if you're going to sell directly off a website, is you have to have really good advertising. And David and I are going to talk about it later on in the show. But I constantly see authors that I'm friends with, or who are friends of friends that I have on Facebook, that make posts lamenting the fact that their books are not selling. And anyone that's watched this show for a while knows how I feel about that. You aren't going to sell books if people don't know about your work. And the only way people can learn about your work is for you to advertise. And even if your ads aren't the greatest in the world, if you're running them, people will at least know that you have that you have a book out on Amazon. And if it's priced right, or if it's in Kindle Unlimited, they may well be willing to download it off Kindle Unlimited and give it a shot. But people won't find it if you don't put the ads up to tell them that they're around. David's going to talk later on today about how much money he spends every day. And it's actually quite a lot of money. He easily spends $500 or more every single day on advertising his wife's books. And he's not wasting any money because he's making that money back in sales. So ads. People will say, I can't run ads because my books aren't selling enough. Well, how are you going to sell any books if you don't run ads? So eventually you have to bite the bullet, spend money out of your own pocket to run the ads. Or you might try looking into kickstarters, which is something else David is going to discuss with us today. There are a lot of indie authors that run Kickstarter programs so that they can get the cash up front to fund the production of their book. Now, the good authors who are doing this, and we'll go all the way to the top of the list when I talk about good authors, Brandon Sanderson, who's made, 7-figure money with Kickstarters. That money isn't for him to write the book. That money is for him to get the book into production. He has the story written. Now what are the next steps? The next steps are creating a cover, getting some of the best editing that you can get, and then conducting advertising so that your book sells. Plus, you also have to sell the Kickstarter because people have to know that you're trying to fund your new book. So a Kickstarter might be the obvious or a way for you to put money into advertising so that you can sell your book. If you go on Facebook and look, there are, I think currently now, there are now like 7 million books on Amazon. If you see someone's books and it says that they're, if you look at, they'll down at the bottom of their description of the book, and the description of the book isn't, I'm not talking about the written description of what the book is about. It's call it the facts of the book. This is the name of the book, this is the author, this is the editor, this is the publisher, on down the line, how long it is, all that information is in the details about the book. At the bottom of that section, there will be an area that has rankings, and there'll be one ranking which is the overall ranking in the Amazon store, and then they'll list the 3 highest subgenres that the book is currently listed in. Like, for instance, for my books, those three will typically be science fiction, space fleet, science fiction, space marines, and galactic empires. There are others. I mean, obviously, there's romance. I mean, obviously, my books aren't in romance. But a book that's ranked 50,000 overall ranking, which sounds low, but when you remember there are 7 million books in Amazon, a book that's ranked 50,000 overall in the Amazon store is likely only selling 3 or 4 books a day. So keep in mind that a little bit of advertising money will improve that. Okay, running into the break now. When we come back, I'll be talking with David Sherrer from Chenoweth Press. I'm Fred Hughes, and this is the next chapter. Welcome back from the break. I'm Fred Hughes, and this is the next chapter. And I'm happy to welcome, as previously advertised, David Sherrer from Chenoweth Publishing and Chenoweth Games. So welcome to the show, Dave.
Hey, it's good to be here.
So you're a man of many talents. So I think, so let's start off, and for David's wife, Lydia Sherrer, is a best-selling author. And so how about telling us how your Chenoweth Press has evolved between, Lydia's writing and how that's like blown up over the last couple of years?
Well, when me and my wife, me and Lydia got married, we were talking about her doing writing for a living, and we made like a 10-year plan on what we were going to do to get her in a situation where she is making money and like having a full-time job as being an author. And we kind of messed up on that plan. It only took us 5 years. We did it 5 years faster than we thought we were going to do. But the part that I handle right now is I do all the marketing. One day I was complaining about my job and how much I just really didn't like it. And my wife looked over at me and was like, "Hey, I make 3 times what you make. Why don't you quit your job and just work for the publishing company?" And after not believing her, I checked the spreadsheets and found out she was actually correct. And I had not paid a bill in a long time. So I took over the publishing for the company. And since then, we've done nothing but grow. She's got 9 books out in her series, got a spinoff, or got a 4-book series with Bain that she's co-authoring with John Ringo. And we're doing pretty good for ourselves.
Now, and it wasn't like just to clue people in, it wasn't like you weren't making good money as, in what you did. It's just that Lydia's stuff is just selling like hotcakes.
Yeah, I was a telecommunications engineer. I basically worked in a basement and did all the stuff that took a whole lot of schooling and training to do, and basically pretended I knew what I was doing, and they paid me every week. But yeah, I would make like giant phone systems. So whenever somebody would, like a hospital would get like 90,000 telephone numbers or something, I was the person that programmed the equipment that cost way more money than I would make in a year, and be responsible for like troubleshooting it if anything went wrong with the installation and stuff like that. So I was a highly paid engineer, and Lydia was definitely the breadwinner at that time whenever I thought I was.
So, so what does being doing the marketing? So what do you do as part of supporting Lydia? I know there's quite a bit, not just advertising, but so what else do you help accomplish?
So my responsibilities with our job is that I handle all the fulfillment of orders, and I handle the marketing and like the in-person sales. So whenever we go to a convention, I basically have the job of like running the table and teaching people sales pitches and things like that whenever they work for us. And if you order books from our website, if you go to lydiasherrer.com, and order books from us, or chenowethpress.com, we will get that order, and I'm the one that prints the labels and things like that. And we've got people we've hired that come in and actually do the packaging now, because we're selling such a large volume. I can't handle it all. But I also do Facebook ads. So one of the biggest things that moves our books is Facebook ads. I spend about $1,000 a day on Facebook ads. And they run directly to our website. So if you find one of our Facebook ads, click on it, and it'll send you straight to us.
So, and
I try to make sure like thousands of people a day see our ad.
Well, and, I get into arguments with people that, who, and I'm sure you hear from them too, that lament that they're not selling any books. And I ask, well, are you doing any advertising? Well, I can't afford to do any advertising. I need to sell more books. And I'm going, well, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? I mean, at some point you have to advertise your books, because you run out of friends and family that are going to buy them. So you have to advertise. And you folks, you in particular, have really mastered that. And most people can't imagine spending $1,000 a day on ads. And this is spread over 9 books for Lydia now, right?
So we've got about 15 or so titles total. We've got 9 books in the series, a spin-off from the male protagonist's perspective, 2 books from the cat's perspective, because it stars a magical talking cat. There's a short story collection, 2 books with John Ringo. We've got, I'm sure I'm missing something. There's an art book. We've got a lot of products. We try to diversify a whole lot.
And you're the man now. And as a part of that, sort of as a subset of that, you're also teaching this to other people, correct?
I'm a coach for the AMO program. So AMO is Author Marketing Mastery Through Optimization. It's a program done by Steve Piper. It is fantastic. And twice a week, I do coaching calls with people who are taking the program, answer questions from them and stuff like that. And then once a week, I'm on a call with a bunch of high-level people where we discuss like new strategies and things like that.
So what new strategies do you see out there for marketing, or that maybe you're deciding to move into?
Well, so the strategies don't make a whole lot of sense if you don't do Facebook marketing, because like right now, the thing I'm testing is whether or not running a ad with the objective as traffic alongside an ad where the objective is sales, see if that will make my cost per sale go down. So far, I don't know if it actually is working or not, but like that's the type of stuff that we discuss. Just off the wall things. Like one of a good friend of mine is, and know her too. Patty and Ben Wallace are using ammo cans as box sets. So we talk about like those type of marketing things. What we're going to do for Mother's Day, what we're going to do for like Prime Day. If we're going to give like a free book giveaway or band together and swap mailing list, we do things like that.
Now, I know that, because I'm friends with Ben and Patty Wallace, and I know that they still have a presence on Amazon, even though that they prefer, and most of their stuff is they're selling direct. Obviously, Lydia's books with Bain are being sold through the Bain website and likely are on Amazon also. But do you still maintain a presence on Amazon for the rest of the books?
Oh, absolutely. A significant portion of our profit, much less than we make from our website, but still a significant amount of our profit comes from Amazon. Because when we advertise stuff on Facebook, there might be some people that only buy stuff on Amazon. They might only buy Audible books for their audiobooks. They might only buy through their Kindle. They'll see our ads and go, oh, I really want this book, and then pick up their phone or their tablet or whatever and buy our books from Amazon. If they want to go to Amazon, they're going to have to leave our site and go there on their own. Okay. Because we don't want to give people the option to leave the place we make the most money and go somewhere else.
All right, after the break, we're going to continue talking marketing and talking about games. I'm Fred Hughes, and this is the next chapter. Thanks for coming back. I'm still Fred Hughes. This is still the next chapter, and we're talking with David Sherrer. When we went into the break, Dave, we were talking about Steve Piper and his program.
Yep.
Can you tell the viewers about that again? And for the people out there watching, we'll have the link to his site on the in the comments section.
Yeah, so the ammo program is basically if you're serious about being an indie publisher, it's one of the best courses out there for not just Facebook ads, but for learning how to make a business out of this. It teaches you everything from like setting up your own store to sell things from yourself so that you make all the profit, to getting those people there from Facebook ads. It's full ecosystem class. It's fantastic. I'd highly recommend it if you've got a series and you're self-published, or if you've got several books that are self-published, enough books that you can afford to advertise. So you have to make a certain amount of profit per purchase. So if somebody comes to your store and buys all your books and you only make like $6, you're probably not going to be ready for selling on ammo. But if you've got like a series of like 3, 4, 5, 7 books, it's a great program to go through.
And David isn't the only one that thinks that. There are a lot of people, very successful indie publishers, who partake of this. So, like I said, check the comments below, and the website will be listed there. So, we tantalized people by talking about games, and that's something that you've evolved into, David, is being a game creator. So why don't you talk about...
Yeah, I didn't really mean to become a game creator. I took over the advertising and marketing for Chenoweth Press, and I didn't know anything about what I was doing, like at all, whenever I first started. So I devoted like days to working on like tweaking Facebook ads and things like that. And then after getting it down and after getting a rhythm, I was like, well, what am I going to do with all the rest of my free time? And I was like, what did I do before I worked all day? And I remembered like before I got my corporate job and like did the corporate thing and worked basically my soul away, I used to make games. I used to like just do math for fun and such. So I got a spreadsheet and I was like, I'm going to make a game. I don't know how to make a game, so I'm going to make it simple. I'm going to make a card game. And I took a spreadsheet and I wrote everything you could do with a playing card. And like you could discard it, you can draw it, you can turn it sideways, you can rotate it, flip it over. And then I deleted all the things that wasn't fun, because it's not fun if you have to discard a card and you don't get to use it yet, things like that. So I deleted all the things that weren't fun and took what I had left and I made a game out of it. And we put it up on Kickstarter. And I was expecting to like not make any money off of it and make like 100 copies and have 99 of them under my bed for the rest of my life and give them out as Christmas presents. But we ended up making $46,000 on the first Kickstarter, sold over 700 copies of the game right away. We sold our first 3,000 copies within 9 months, and now we're working on our second game. So the next game is Outflanked. You can go to the link that's on screen right now and find it on Kickstarter. We've got a pre-launch page up right now. You could sign up to be notified whenever it goes live, and it goes live on August 20th.
Outstanding. But there's more to it than just devising and creating the game, developing the rules and coming up with the game mechanics. There's a lot of other parts to that puzzle that, as the creator, owner of the game, you had to manage.
Yeah, there's a whole company to it. You don't make a successful game without having a plan going in. We advertise on Facebook to get people to come to our page. I go to conventions to sell them. We do marketing all kinds of ways, everything from like me being active in certain game design Facebook groups or like stuff like that. We try to make sure that we are everywhere and are well known and well liked. And so people will come check out our stuff.
But you also had to go out there and find somebody that would, what's the right word, manufacture it? Manufacture a quality product at the right price or a competitive price.
Yeah, well, everyone has to do that with all the products they do. Like authors have to do that with books. At a certain point, you outgrow getting your books from Amazon author copies whenever you get to a certain volume and you have to go find a printer. That's the same thing with games. You can go to like the Game Crafter or places like that and order like vanity copies of your game, just like you can a book, buying them from Amazon. But whenever you get to like getting 1,000, 3,000, or 5,000 copies of a game, you really need a printer that's more competitive than those vanity printers, I guess. I ended up printing with Delano Games because I found their number on a broken website. Like I found a phone number, Delano Games, on this website that wasn't working. It was missing images and stuff. And the number I called ended up being the number of the CEO of the company now. So like a guy named Nick Haas. And I called him up and I was real salty because I just talked to like 2 other printers and they gave me the runaround and did not treat me very well. And he had just had a terrible conversation with another company that he was trying to source materials from. So we just kind of complained at each other for 30 minutes and then was like, did we just become friends? Are we going to print games together now? And I've been printing with him ever since.
So you contract him out to actually produce your games, and then you buy them in lots of X amount. Or does he? Yep. Okay.
And they're not too far from where we live. So they're a 2-hour drive away. So I saved, I think the last time I got quoted shipping, it was like between $8,000 and $16,000 to ship all of the games to us. And we just drove up a couple hours and picked them up from the printer. And it saved me a ton of money.
I was going to say that's worth $16,000. So
yeah.
So what's next? I mean, you have this Kickstarter. You have another game that you have that you're thinking about. Something with cats, maybe.
So Outflanked is the game that is coming out soon.
Okay.
Camera.
Yep.
This one's going to be up on Kickstarter on August 20th, and then after that. My 5-year-old helped me build a game. So first quarter of next year, we're going to have a game called Unicorn Roundup where you collect unicorns. There's like a deck of unicorns. Some are worth points, some subtract points, depending on if they're real or fake unicorns. And you try to win the unicorns and try to give somebody else the fake unicorns. And it all started because I wanted to make a game my 5-year-old could play. And he sat down with me and we made the game together.
So it really is a family business.
Absolutely. Sometimes my 5-year-old helps me pack orders. He discovered capitalism at like 3 because he discovered that money buys candy. And so ever since then, he's been asking me for paying jobs, and he makes art, and he walks around our neighborhood with his mom and asks people to buy his art. So he'll go door to door selling art, and he's 5, so it's adorable.
So he's turning into a mercenary already.
He's definitely a capitalist.
Okay. So we've talked about games, and you're supporting Lydia. What else is on the horizon for you, David? I mean, now that you're expanding and you have a staff, you have time to do a multitude of things. Are you going to write?
That's kind of the plan eventually. I worked a soul-crushing job for so long that my creativity has tanked. So I've got story ideas, but I cannot sit down and keep myself in the desk long enough to write at the moment. But I do have like a lit RPG that I've been toying around with and working on, and a cyberpunk science fiction and an urban fantasy set in the 1920s. So I've got a few stories I've just been tooling around with, writing like the outline and plots. But making games keeps me pretty busy. And even though I have people working for me, it doesn't mean that my workload is less. It just means I do different things.
You can concentrate on the areas that maybe you weren't concentrating on before.
Yeah, somebody needs to do everything, and that somebody is usually me or Lydia.
All right, so when we come back from the break, David is going to tell us how he got into Kickstarters and maybe give us a basic lowdown on, how do you start your own? This is Fred Hughes, and this is the next chapter. Welcome back. I'm Fred Hughes. This is the next chapter, and we're talking with David Sherrer. And before we get into talking about Kickstarters, he's moved now, but tell the audience about your cats.
Well, I've got 3 cats. I've got Gadget, who is this big, floofy, part Norwegian forest cat that is, she loves everyone. She thinks she's an outside cat. She will beg for someone to let her outside, but she is way too floofy and way too delicate to be an outside cat. She's our door greeter. If you come into this house and you've never been here before, she will be right up at you trying to get you to pet her. We've got Luna, which is a cat that most people don't believe actually exists. She just hides, and I think she's under the couch right now. There's a little couch behind me. She is super sweet. And then we have Bastion, and Bastion is a jerk. He's a ghost tabby, so he's got black outer coat and white undercoat. And so when he gets wet, he turns white. And he's just a jerk. We found him in the woods one day. We found him in the trash. He acts like it.
Well, I mean, it's sort of humorous how many authors, and I don't think it's specific to any genre, and you're not an author, but, Lydia is, and, you're in the business, are cat people. I mean, the wife and I have 2. Our daughter's living with us. She has 3. So we have 5 in our house, which, yes, makes it a menagerie. And I know so many other people in the industry that have cats and can't imagine not having them, and talk about them on their newsletters and Facebook posts and everything all the time. So, but last part.
That's one of the things I teach whenever I talk social media. Whenever I talk to people about social media, they'll be like, well, I'm too shy to do a newsletter. And I'll tell them to write it from their pet's perspective. So write your newsletter, but write it as if your cat is telling the story or telling whatever. And that gets people to write newsletters, even if they're super introverted. So using your pets as a marketing tool is amazing. And I highly recommend everybody do it.
The last thing to touch on, Kickstarters. We talked about it before. You're running a Kickstarter for your newest game that's going to be coming out.
Yep.
How did you get involved in Kickstarters? I mean, this is your second one, isn't it?
This is our second game Kickstarter. We've done a few book Kickstarters before. Well, Lydia did. I wasn't really involved with those at all. I was still working a corporate job whenever we were doing those. But how I got involved with Kickstarter is I had something I wanted to make and not enough money to make it. And Kickstarter is one of the best places that I've found that you can get people to help you fund projects. My view with Kickstarter is I make sure that my product is completely finished by the time that it goes to Kickstarter. Like the Outflanked game is completely done. Like art is done. We've got a working prototype of everything. Like everything is 100% done. And you can go to uh, bit.ly/outflanked right now and sign up to be notified whenever it goes live. And it goes live on August the 20th. But it is completely done. We are ready to go. We just need to know how many copies to order, and Kickstarter helps us figure that out.
And provides you, for lack of a better word, the seed money to get those initial production runs done.
Yeah, it's the initial capital.
Yeah. So, is that a difficult process? Is that, I mean, everybody's heard, the Brandon Sanderson, oh yeah, he raised, X million dollars or, whatever in, running a Kickstarter to support the same thing, initial publishing cost and everything else for creating a book series. But is it?
Yeah, but everybody's not Brandon Sanderson.
No.
It is not as easy for me as it is for Brandon Sanderson by far. We're going to work whenever it goes live. Me and my wife are going to work pretty much around the clock for the entire month to try to get it funded. It's not an easy task, and the people at Kickstarter are great. I talked to a few of them. They go to like Dragon Con and 20 Books Vegas, and a few other conventions that we go to, and I see them. I met up with a lady from the game portion of it at Gamma, which is a Game Manufacturers Association expo that they have in Louisville, Kentucky. And they're just the nicest people. I've never worked with somebody in Kickstarter and had a bad time. And it's a really fun way to get extra stuff out into the community. Like with this Kickstarter, I'm doing custom cards where you can, each player has a character card. They play one of the 4 characters from Lydia's books. So there's a book tie-in to it too. So all the characters on the box and inside the decks are characters from Lydia's stories. You can pay an extra tier, and I will personally make you a character card with your face on it. And I wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't for Kickstarter. We've been able to fund getting the second Sir Kipling novella. Sir Kipling's The Magical Talking Cat for my wife's series. We were able to fund getting the second Sir Kipling novella published with my last Kickstarter. And it's just the stuff that you can do, that you can crowdfund through that platform is amazing. I'm always one for like extra pieces or extra like bonus material, and it's a great way to get that out there.
So it's not just person can sign up when they get the notification by going to, the Kickstarter page. They'll get informed when the Kickstart goes live, and then they can, purchase,
Yep.
the probably more than one package. Correct? It's there. Some of the ones that I've seen, they have various packages involved. Is that the case in this one?
Yeah. There's different tier levels. Like the basic tier level is just a copy of the game, and that's what the Kickstarter's for. But then after that, you can do things like you can add on a copy of a book that Lydia, or a short story that Lydia is writing just for the Kickstarter. It's going to be a Kickstarter exclusive short story. All the way up to, if we make a certain amount of money, Lydia will promise to put together a short story collection that's never been put together before. So if we get high enough on this, we're basically using that as a way to strong arm Lydia into doing something that the fans want.
Well, I want to thank David for being on the show this week and talking about games and marketing, and we touched a little bit on his wife and what she does, and sometime in the future we'll have her on. That's it for this week's show. I'm Fred Hughes, and this has been The Next Chapter.